Buildings in downtown Calgary could be getting taller and taller. Yesterday on the show, the COO of local developer Truman told us about their plans to build two new skyscraping hotel residences near the Stampede grounds. One is proposed to be 62 stories, the other 69 stories. Both would be significantly taller than Calgary's current tallest building, Brookfield Place. Now, there's been a long line of buildings that have staked their claim to be the tallest of their day. So how did the buildings in Calgary get this tall, and how much taller might they get? David Down is an architect, and he's the outgoing chief urban designer at the City of Calgary. He's worked on this hotel file, and he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Lauren.
When did buildings in downtown Calgary start getting tall? What does tall mean, I suppose?
Well, you can imagine the Calgary downtown back at the time of the origins of the Stampede, for example, frame and sandstone buildings at that time, 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories was a tall building until we got to 1910 and the Grain Exchange building at the corner of 9th Avenue and 1st Street was built at 6 stories. 6 stories of sandstone would have been seen as a big building in Calgary at that time. And so that was Calgary's tallest building until the Palliser Hotel came along in 1914 at 12 stories after a couple of additions. So 12 stories, and you can see in the photographs of Calgary at that time how the Palliser Hotel really stands out as a big, tall building at that time. So it also established the rule for downtown Calgary building height at 12 stories. That was the maximum allowable. And
when was that? When was 12 stories the ceiling, so to speak?
From the time the Palliser was built until 1959, when Elveden House proposed 20 stories. And so similar conversation to what will happen on this project we're talking about today. Council will have to decide if they want to increase the ceiling height, so to speak. And they did at that time and allowed 20 stories at Elveden House. So this is how cities push the boundaries over time, and it happens as building material technologies change, construction technologies, development economics, and just the aspirations of developers and landowners change over time. So
yeah, I said as much to our guest yesterday, the CEO of Truman, like the rendering, those buildings, I mean, it looks like you could have plucked them out of Dubai and put them, and that's just a reflection on the height, but I mean, they're so much taller than anything on that sort of pad or that envelope that they're on.
Yes. I would say that it's not the first time we've seen very tall buildings proposed for that exact site. I think it's always, perhaps not always, but since the 1980s, there's been talk about it being an appropriate location for height and density, close to the Stampede, close to the LRT, in an area where the height may not negatively impact too much other residential or public space. And it is the proximity to signature public space in the city, and particularly in the downtown, that also regulates the height of buildings. The Bow Tower, for example, wanted to be considerably taller, but because of its proximity to the riverbank parklands, we did not allow that. Ultimately, council would not allow that. The rule is that buildings shouldn't shadow the riverbank parklands or within 20 meters of the top of bank during the high-use areas, which are between spring and fall. So that actually regulated the height of the Bow, regulated the height of Brookfield Place. It won't regulate the height of this per se because it's far enough from the riverbank parklands. It is somewhat close to some other signature public spaces. So that's studying those shadow impacts is something, again, that the administration will do and council will have to decide on.
Okay, let's go out on this. How much taller do you think buildings in Calgary might get?
Well, given
the sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit.
I mean,
I think the most important limiting factor, I think for me, and I hope it will continue to be for council as well, is this issue of shadowing of important public spaces. If it's decided that the FAR, the floor area ratio, which ultimately controls the amount you can put on a site, is malleable in certain parts of the city where you can get away with the shadowing, then we could see buildings get taller. And particularly this far from the riverbank parklands, you could see some taller buildings. Yeah. In the downtown core itself, we're probably not going to see buildings get too much taller than the ones we've already seen because of those shadow rules. But Beltline, particularly this part of the Beltline, we could see some taller stuff. And there's a lot of sites ripe for development in that part of the Beltline too.